Hey everybody, this is Joseph Chung. I'm just trying to give you guys some feedback ahead of time of our planning meeting about just the top three things that I saw could be, perhaps improved on the dual and the Delaware. So here I put together just some points that on a Google document here. The first thing is the pits. I mean, I think we all know that there's issues with the pits and making sure that we have a more efficient way of loading them. I think everybody knows that we should change the casters to a larger and format and obviously a more firmer materials because that material is very soft and it's really not meant to be rolling around in the parking lot and then up and down the ramp of the U-Haul. So you can see on here, I kind of did a little quick measurement. This is the casters that we have right now. It's about probably the wheel itself. It's probably about 2 inches tall. And then you can see that this is the wheel for another team's, uh, cart. And this one is about twice as big. But then you can also see that this is the cart that I'm looking at, and their cart is about a quarter the size of the pit. So basically, they have something that is like double the caster size that we have. So I think we can definitely improve on that. I have some specific ideas on how to move and load and unload the empty pit to move the pits. I recommend that we should load and unload the pits empty. It becomes a more manageable and safer weight. It really, in my opinions, when I saw you guys loading at the DoD, it takes longer to screw in all of those little Husky retaining brackets by hand than to actually move them along with the Milwaukee's into stackable boxes. So you pull them out of the shelf, right, and you just put them into the boxes, and then they can be carted away in a hand truck in like two loads, basically. Not the little furniture dolly, but the one that you pull on, and it's the red hand truck that we have, right? I was able to pack, basically the church, all the materials that were at the church with Brian, and we were able to pack that in. Yeah, and this is like stuff that wasn't even, that we had to still add to the Huskies. We were able to pack that thing in like I don't know, like 20 minutes, and then it took like another like 5 minutes to actually wheel them out to the U-Haul truck in the parking lot. But as opposed to when we were at the DoD, we ended up loading the pits, and I'm sorry, not opposed to the DoD, but when we actually left the church and went to, or when we were still at the church, we were able to load the pit with like 4 or 5 people. When we were at Cheyenne's, we were able to load the pits that was completely empty with like 4 or 5 people. But when we were at the DoD in the afternoon trying to load, it really took a lot more people than the 4 or 5 people, and there was a lot more effort in there in doing so. So that's my suggestion is that we should, from now on, have a process in place where we just move them empty. The other thing that I wanted to point out as well too, and this is kind of like I was talking to Ryan about this, is let's try to reduce the administrative burden of folks that are coming just to the competition only. What I mean by administrative burden is like planning their carpools and their meals and everything. We have to all take care of them as well too, right? Even though they may not be a contributor or an active member of the group and they only show up for a competition. What I suggest is that you self police the competition only members, right? Add a field to the forum that says, my name, whatever. But the first thing on there should be describe the contribution you are most proud of this season. Please cite specific task activities, threads, meetings, and so forth. So obviously, if you're a contributing member, you don't just you just do whatever, right? It doesn't matter. It's not to police you, but it's to basically police the folks that says, hey, they'll understand the question and they may not even sign up because they're like, oh, you know what, I didn't really do squat. And also, on a plus side, the additional criteria may actually encourage more individual contributions. So you have like a freshman or whatever, he's like really not getting into it. But if you sit here and set the expectation at the beginning that says, if you want to go to the competition, make sure you're contributing and you're a contributing member and not just, kind of set it aside. And if you don't contribute, that's fine, but don't have the expectations that you're going to be able to sign up and go to this thing. And then just lastly, it's my own personal thing. As a parent, I love to, feed you guys or whatever. I would say let's provide some individual custom options, for when you guys sign up. Okay. Not everybody wants 2 to 3 slices of plain pizza for 2 days. In my opinion, I wouldn't want that. Some may want, breakfast maybe. They get there in the morning, and, if on a competition like this that we were driving and we were getting there early in the morning, some may want some breakfast there, right? Obviously, for the regular in season, that we usually find a place that will have breakfast for them. And then, some people may not want snacks. So it's like, why, make them pay for it if not, right? And my suggestion is, obviously, instead of calculating this whole thing about how much it's going to cost individually or whatever, students can just, cash app the parent directly. I have no problems, purchasing this stuff separately, and having an individual, form, or a Google document that shows, how much your total is going to be. You cash at me. I will make sure to place the order and go, and do the group purchase or whatever. If many people want to do pizza, or if we're doing something different, and some people may say, you know what, I want 4 slices of pizza. Great, you can pay for that, on your own. Or some people may say, I only want 1 slice of pizza because, you know what, I'm going to do other things or whatever. And like I said, some people may say, I don't want snacks. I know it's more of a burden for the person that's doing it, but I think it'll provide more flexibility and a little bit more enjoyability of the, whole, festival of going to the event. And then, I think it also would reduce some of the perceived concerns that some members have about, parents being concerned about the cost of going to these trips. Honestly, if you're just asking kids, they could probably cash at me directly. And most of the kids can really pay for their own meals, with their own allowance for the trip. But anyways, that is my top 3 things as far as feedback from specifically to the DoD. I have additional feedback that I would like to provide the team, but I don't want to put that on here for right now. All right. Thanks, everybody.